Denise Washington closed her tired eyes for a moment as she pulled into the parking lot of Hillside Pharmacy. The digital clock on her dashboard read 7:15 a.m. Her 12-hour night shift at Riverside Hospital had been especially tough. 3 emergency cases had come in just before her shift ended, and she had stayed an extra 45 minutes to help. Now, all she wanted was to pick up Jaden's asthma medicine and go home to her children. The morning air felt cool against her face as she stepped out of her car. Denise smoothed down her blue scrubs, still wearing them from her shift. She had meant to change before leaving the hospital, but Jaden's medication couldn't wait. His asthma had been acting up, and the school nurse had called yesterday saying he needed his rescue inhaler twice. Just get the medicine and go home, Denise whispered to herself as she walked toward the pharmacy entrance. Marcus was 17 and responsible enough to get Jaden ready for school, but she had promised to be back in time to make them a proper breakfast before the school bus came. Inside, the pharmacy was quiet, with only a few early customers. Denise joined the short line at the pickup counter, checking her phone for any messages from her kids. There was one from Marcus asking when she would be home. She quickly texted back, "At pharmacy getting Jaden's medicine. Home soon. Love you." As she waited, Denise noticed a police officer standing near the vitamin section. He seemed to be watching the customers rather than shopping. Denise thought nothing of it at first. Police officers often stopped in places during their morning rounds. The officer, whose name badge read Bennett, kept glancing in her direction. When it was finally her turn, Denise stepped up to the counter with a tired smile. "Good morning. I'm picking up a prescription for Jaden Washington. His doctor called it in yesterday." The young pharmacist, a woman with blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail, typed the name into her computer. Her smile faded slightly. "I see the prescription, but there seems to be an issue with your insurance coverage. It's showing as inactive." Denise frowned. "That can't be right. I just used it last week for my own prescription. Could you check again?" As the pharmacist typed, Officer Bennett moved closer to the counter, now openly watching their exchange. Denise felt a prickle of unease but focused on the pharmacist. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Washington, but the system is definitely showing your insurance as inactive for this medication. The cost without insurance would be $127.50. Denise sighed and reached for her wallet. "I can't leave without it. My son's asthma has been bad this week." She pulled out her credit card and insurance card. "Could you try running the insurance again? Maybe it's just a system error." Officer Bennett stepped up to the counter beside her. "Is there a problem here?" he asked, looking at the pharmacist rather than Denise. "No problem, officer," Denise said calmly. "Just a mix-up with my insurance." Officer Bennett turned to her with narrowed eyes. "I wasn't asking you, ma'am." His tone made several nearby customers look over. "I've noticed you seem agitated." Denise took a deep breath. After 12 years as a nurse, she knew how to stay composed in tense situations. "I'm not agitated, officer. I'm just tired from my night shift and trying to get my son's asthma medication." The pharmacist spoke up. "She's just trying to sort out an insurance issue, officer. It happens all the time." Officer Bennett ignored this. "What hospital do you work at?" he asked Denise. "Riverside. I'm a registered nurse in the emergency department." Denise kept her voice steady, though she could feel her heart beating faster. "And you say you're picking up asthma medication?" "For who exactly?" "For my son, Jaden Washington. He's 12 years old. Do you have ID on you? And something showing he's your son?" The pharmacy had grown quiet. The few customers in line behind Denise were watching with uncomfortable expressions. The pharmacist looked concerned. "Officer, I don't think," the pharmacist began, but Officer Bennett held up his hand to silence her. "I'm just doing my job, making sure everything is on the up and up. We've had issues with prescription fraud in this area." Denise felt her face grow warm with humiliation, but she kept her expression neutral as she pulled out her driver's license. "Here's my ID. I don't carry my son's birth certificate with me, but I have photos of us together on my phone." Officer Bennett took her ID and studied it for much longer than necessary. This says you live on Oak Street. That's quite a drive from Riverside Hospital. Why are you filling prescriptions all the way over here instead of somewhere closer to the hospital or your home? This pharmacy is between the hospital and my home, Denise explained, feeling the stares of everyone around her. And Dr. Miller, my son's doctor, sends all his prescriptions here. Officer Bennett handed back her ID but didn't step away. Open your purse, please. Excuse me? Denise couldn't keep the shock from her voice. I need to see inside your purse. Now. Do you have a warrant? Denise asked, her nursing training on patient rights suddenly feeling relevant to her own situation. This seemed to anger Officer Bennett. I don't need a warrant for a reasonable search when I suspect illegal activity. Open your purse now, or I'll call for backup and we can continue this conversation at the station. The few other customers were now openly staring. An elderly white woman shook her head slightly, but no one spoke up. The pharmacist looked deeply uncomfortable, but remained silent. With shaking hands, Denise opened her purse. This is completely unnecessary, she said quietly. Empty it on the counter, Officer Bennett ordered. Denise's phone buzzed with an incoming call as she began removing items from her purse. She glanced at the screen and saw it was Marcus, probably wondering where she was. She set the phone down as it continued to vibrate. Answer it, Officer Bennett said. Put it on speaker. Feeling as if she were in some bizarre nightmare, Denise answered the call and pressed the speaker button. Mom, are you okay? You said you'd be home soon and Jaden's cough sounds worse. Marcus's young voice filled the quiet pharmacy. I'm still at the pharmacy, honey. There's a delay. Denise tried to keep her voice normal. How's Jaden doing? His breathing is getting that whistling sound again. I got his spare inhaler from your bathroom, but it's almost empty. When will you be home? Officer Bennett was watching her face carefully. Denise felt tears threatening but fought them back. I'm having some trouble with the insurance, and now I'm being questioned by a police officer who thinks I'm doing something wrong. Her voice broke slightly on the last words. What, Mom? What's happening? Marcus sounded alarmed. I need to go, Marcus. Take care of your brother. I'll be home as soon as I can. She ended the call, a tear finally escaping down her cheek. The items from her purse now lay spread across the counter. Her wallet, hospital ID badge, a half-eaten granola bar, tissues, lip balm, her keys, a small bottle of hand sanitizer, a pack of gum, and a small notebook where she tracked her shifts. Officer Bennett picked up her hospital ID and examined it closely. This could be fake, he said. The pharmacist finally spoke up. Officer Bennett, I've helped Mrs. Washington before. She's a regular customer, and her son's prescription is legitimate. Dr. Miller is a pediatrician we work with often. Officer, Bennett frowned at the pharmacist. I need to verify this information. I'm calling for backup. He stepped away and spoke quietly into his radio. Denise stood frozen, items from her purse scattered on the counter, aware of the stares from other customers. Some looked sympathetic, others uncomfortable, a few curious. No one intervened. Her phone buzzed again with texts from Marcus, but she couldn't bring herself to look at them. The pharmacist leaned forward and whispered, I'm so sorry about this. Your insurance went through on the second try. Your son's medication is ready, but she glanced at Officer Bennett, who was still on his radio. Denise nodded in understanding. She couldn't just take the medication and leave while the officer was calling for backup. She would have to wait, while at home her son struggled to breathe and her older boy worried. The unfairness of it all made her want to scream, but years of facing discrimination had taught her that showing anger would only make things worse. So Denise Washington stood quietly at the pharmacy counter, a respected nurse and devoted mother, being treated like a criminal, while outside the morning sun continued to rise on what should have been just another day. Marcus Washington paced back and forth in the kitchen, his phone clutched tightly in his hand. The call with his mother had ended abruptly 5 minutes ago, and his text messages remained unanswered. Something was wrong. Very wrong. From the living room couch, 12-year-old Jaden watched his older brother with worried eyes. His breathing came in shallow wheezes, the sound filling the quiet house. The spare inhaler had helped a little, but not enough. Is Mom coming home soon? Jaden asked between labored breaths. Marcus forced a smile. Yeah, she'll be back soon. Don't worry. He didn't want to scare his little brother, but the fear in his mother's voice had scared him. In all his 17 years, he had rarely heard her sound that way. Denise Washington was strong, raising 2 boys on her own while working night shifts at the hospital. Nothing rattled her. Until now. He tried calling her again. No answer. The kitchen clock showed 7:45 a.m. The school bus would arrive in 30 minutes. I'm going to make you some hot tea with honey, Marcus told Jaden. It might help your breathing until Mom gets back with your medicine. As he filled the kettle with water, Marcus replayed his mother's words in his head. I'm having some trouble with the insurance, and now I'm being questioned by a police officer who thinks I'm doing something wrong. The unfairness of it made his stomach tighten. His mother, still in her work scrubs after a long night of helping others, was being treated like a criminal for trying to get medicine for her son. Marcus set the kettle on the stove and returned to the living room. Jaden's face looked pale, his breathing more labored than before. Jaden, how bad is it? Scale of 1 to 10? Jaden held up 7 fingers. That was bad. Marcus made a decision. I'm calling 911. No, Jaden protested between wheezes. Mom will be mad about the bill. Marcus knew his brother was right. An ambulance ride would cost hundreds of dollars, even with insurance. But Jaden's health came first. Before he could dial, his phone rang. Mom. Relief washed over him. Mom, are you coming home? Jaden's getting worse. His mother's voice was quiet, controlled, but he could hear the strain in it. Marcus, I'm still at the pharmacy. There's another police officer here now. They're checking my credentials with the hospital. What? Why? The officer thinks I might be trying to get medicine illegally. Her voice cracked slightly. They won't let me leave yet. Marcus felt heat rise to his face. But that's crazy. You're a nurse, and Jaden needs his medicine now. I know, baby, I'm trying. He heard her take a deep breath. How's his breathing? It's bad, Mom. He says it's a 7. There was a pause. Marcus, listen carefully. In my bathroom cabinet, behind my face creams, there's a small white box. It has an emergency nebulizer treatment. Do you remember how to set it up? I think so. You showed me last year. Good. Get that for Jaden right away. And Marcus, can you record this call? Just in case. Marcus didn't ask why. He put the phone on speaker and hit the record button on his voice memo app. I'm recording now, Mom. Thank you. The officers here are saying... Her voice stopped suddenly. Marcus heard a male voice in the background. Ma'am, who are you talking to? I need you. To end that call, his mother's voice came back, rushed now. Marcus, I need to go. Give Jaden the nebulizer. I love you both. The call ended. Marcus stood frozen for a moment, the recorded call saved on his phone. Then he sprinted to his mother's bathroom, found the white box, and rushed back to Jaden. As he set up the nebulizer for his brother, Marcus's mind raced. This wasn't right. His mother needed help. But who could help her against police officers? Then he remembered. 3 months ago, Police Chief Gregory Daniels had come to his high school to speak about community relations. The chief had seemed different from other officers. He had talked about accountability and had given out the police department's number, saying students should call if they ever felt unsafe or witnessed injustice. At the time, Marcus had thought it was just talk. Now he wondered. With Jaden breathing more easily through the nebulizer mask, Marcus searched for the pamphlet from that school assembly. He found it crumpled at the bottom of his backpack. The non-emergency police number was printed on the back. Marcus hesitated, his thumb hovering over the keypad. Would calling make things worse? What if they just sent more officers to harass his mom? Jaden's wheezing made up his mind. He dialed the number. A woman's voice answered. Lakeside Police. Department. Hi, Marcus cleared his throat. I need to speak with Chief Daniels. It's an emergency. Chief Daniels is not available for calls without appointment. May I direct you to another officer? No, please. He came to Lakeside High School and told us to call if we needed help. My mom is being held at Hillside Pharmacy by officers who think she's doing something wrong, but she's just trying to get medicine for my brother. He has asthma and can't breathe well. There was a pause. What's your name, young man? Marcus Washington. And your mother's name? Denise Washington. She's a nurse at Riverside Hospital. She just finished her night shift and stopped to get my brother's inhaler. Another pause. Hold the line, please. Marcus waited, watching Jaden's chest rise and fall with each difficult breath. The nebulizer was helping, but not enough. After what felt like forever, a deep male voice came on the line. This is Chief Daniels. I understand there's a situation with your mother at Hillside Pharmacy. Relief flooded through Marcus. Yes, sir. My mom stopped to get my brother's asthma medicine after her night shift at the hospital, and now police officers are keeping her there. They think she's doing something wrong, but she's not. My brother needs his medicine badly. Which officers are at the scene? Do you know their names? One is named Bennett. I don't know about the other one. There was a short silence. Officer Bennett, you said? Yes, sir. Chief Daniels' voice remained calm, but Marcus sensed tension in it. Tell me exactly what happened from the beginning. Marcus took a deep breath and told the chief everything. How his mother had gone to the pharmacy after her shift. How Officer Bennett had made her empty her purse. How they were now checking her credentials with the hospital. I have a recording of my last call with her, Marcus added. She asked me to record it. That was smart thinking, Chief Daniels said. Can you play that recording for me now? Marcus put his phone on speaker and played the short recording. His mother's strained voice filled the room, followed by the male officer ordering her to end the call. When it finished, Chief Daniels spoke again. Marcus, thank you for bringing this to my attention. You did the right thing. I'm going to go to Hillside Pharmacy right now to check on this situation. Can I have your phone number so I can call you back? Marcus gave him the number, hope rising in his chest. Are you going to help my mom? Yes, I am. And Marcus, take care of your brother. If his breathing gets worse before your mother gets home, don't hesitate to call 911. Yes, sir. Thank you. After hanging up, Marcus sat beside Jaden on the couch. The nebulizer treatment was almost finished and Jaden's breathing seemed a little easier. Who was that? Jaden asked, lifting the mask slightly. That was the police chief. He's going to help. Mom. Jaden's eyes widened. Really? The chief? Yeah. Marcus wasn't sure if Chief Daniels would actually do anything, but he had sounded sincere. He said he's going to the pharmacy right now. Do you think Mom will be in trouble? For the police chief coming? Marcus shook his head. No. I think the other officers might be the ones in trouble. He checked the time. The school bus would arrive in 10 minutes, but there was no way he was sending Jaden to school like this, and he wasn't going to leave his brother alone. Marcus texted his friend Kyle to tell the bus driver they wouldn't be riding today. Then he sent a message to the school attendance line, explaining that he and Jaden would be absent due to a family emergency. All they could do now was wait. Marcus kept his phone close, hoping for a call from his mother or the police chief. The kitchen clock ticked loudly in the quiet house. Outside, the school bus rumbled past without stopping. Do you think it will be okay? Jaden asked, his voice small. Marcus put his arm around his little brother's shoulders. Yeah, he said, trying to believe it himself. It will be okay. But as the minutes stretched on with no word from their mother, Marcus couldn't help wondering, what was happening at the pharmacy? And would Chief Daniels really make a difference? Police Chief Gregory Daniels ended the call with Marcus Washington and sat still for a moment, his brow furrowed in thought. He had just finished a morning meeting about improving community relations, and now this. The timing was either terrible or perfect, depending on how he looked at it. At 52, Daniels had been chief of the Lakeside Police Department for only 8 months. He'd taken the job with big plans to change the culture of policing in the community. Being one of the few black police chiefs in the state made his position both powerful and precarious. He knew Officer Paul Bennett well. The man had been on the force for 15 years and had received multiple complaints about his treatment of minority residents. Nothing that could get him fired. Bennett was too careful for that, but enough to create a pattern that concerned Daniels. The chief grabbed his keys and badge, then strode through the office. His secretary looked up in surprise. "Cancel my 9 o'clock, he said. "I need to go to Hillside Pharmacy. There's a situation." "Should I call dispatch to send backup?" she asked. "No. We have enough officers there already." His tone made it clear. The conversation was over. The drive to Hillside Pharmacy took less than 10 minutes. Chief Daniels parked his unmarked car in the lot and observed the scene through the pharmacy windows before going inside. He could see Officer Bennett and Officer Ramirez standing near the prescription counter. A black woman in blue scrubs, undoubtedly. Denise Washington stood between them, her posture rigid with tension. Daniels took a deep breath. He had learned long ago that rushing into situations only escalated them. Observation first, then action. Inside the pharmacy, the atmosphere was tense. A few customers stood awkwardly in line, pretending not to watch the drama unfolding at the counter. The pharmacist looked distressed as she spoke on the phone, presumably with the hospital to verify Denise's employment. Chief Daniels approached quietly, listening. "Yes, I understand," Officer Bennett was saying. "But we've had reports of people in medical uniforms trying to obtain prescription medications fraudulently. We're just doing our due diligence." "I've shown you my hospital ID," Denise replied, her voice steady but strained. "I've shown you my driver's license. I've shown you photos of my son. I've emptied my purse. What more do you need?" Officer Ramirez, younger and visibly uncomfortable with the situation, cleared his throat. "The hospital confirmed she works there, Bennett. Maybe we need to be thorough," Bennett cut him off. "For all we know, she could have stolen that ID, and her behavior has been suspicious from the start." "What suspicious behavior?" Denise asked, an edge of frustration breaking through her calm facade. "Standing in line? Trying to get medicine? For my asthmatic son?" Chief Daniels chose that moment to step forward. "Good morning, everyone." All heads turned toward him. Recognition and surprise flashed across the officers' faces. "Chief Daniels," Officer Bennett said, straightening his posture. "What brings you here?" "I received a call about a situation at this pharmacy," Daniels said calmly. He turned to Denise. "Mrs. Washington, I presume?" Surprise registered on her face. "Yes, that's me." "Your son Marcus called me. He's concerned about you and about his brother's medical needs." Daniels turned to the officers. "What seems to be the issue here, Officers Bennett and Ramirez?" Bennett's jaw tightened slightly. "We're investigating a possible case of prescription fraud, sir. This woman's behavior raised some red flags." "What specific behaviors?" Daniels asked. She appeared agitated when dealing with the pharmacist. And when questioned about the prescription, she became defensive. The pharmacist, who had ended her phone call, interjected. "Sir, if I may, Mrs. Washington was not agitated until Officer Bennett approached her. She was simply trying to resolve an insurance issue with her son's prescription." Chief Daniels nodded. "Thank you for that clarification." He turned back to Bennett. "Any other suspicious behaviors?" Bennett shifted his weight. She was evasive about answering questions. "I answered every question," Denise said. "I showed all my identification. I let him search my purse without a warrant because I just want to get my son's medicine and go home. He's having trouble breathing." Daniels looked at the pharmacist. "Has the hospital confirmed Mrs. Washington's identity?" "Yes, sir," the pharmacist replied. "She's Denise Washington, registered nurse in the emergency department at Riverside. She's been a customer here for years." "And the prescription?" "It's legitimate. Prescribed by Dr. Miller for Jaden Washington, age 12, for asthma. The insurance issue has been resolved as well." Chief Daniels nodded and turned to Officer Ramirez. "Is there security footage of the pharmacy?" "Yes, sir," Ramirez answered. "The manager showed it to us while we were waiting for the hospital confirmation." "And did it show any suspicious behavior from Mrs. Washington?" Ramirez glanced uncomfortably at Bennett before answering. "No, sir. She just stood in line and then spoke with the pharmacist." Chief Daniels took a moment to consider everything he had heard. The pharmacy was quiet now, all eyes on him. Officers, I'd like to speak with Mrs. Washington privately. Then I'll need to speak with both of you. Bennett started to protest, but Daniels held up a hand. That's an order, Officer Bennett. The chief led Denise to a quiet corner of the pharmacy while the officers waited by the entrance. When they were out of earshot, he spoke softly. Mrs. Washington, I want to apologize for what you've experienced here today. Your son Marcus was very brave to call me. Denise's eyes filled with tears that she quickly blinked away. Marcus called you? How did he even know how to reach you? I spoke at his high school a few months ago, told the students they could call if they ever needed help. Daniel smiled slightly. Most adults wouldn't have the courage to make that call. Denise glanced at the officers waiting by the door. Will this cause problems for me? Officer Bennett seemed very determined. You don't need to worry about that, Daniels assured her. What happened here wasn't right. Now tell me your side of the story. From the beginning, Denise took a deep breath and recounted everything. Finishing her night shift, stopping for Jaden's medication, the insurance issue, Bennett's approach and questioning, the humiliation of emptying her purse, and her concern for her son's waiting. At home, as she spoke, Daniels took notes. When she finished, he nodded gravely. Thank you for telling me all this. Now I believe your son needs his medication urgently? Yes. Jaden has had severe asthma since he was 4. Marcus texted that he found my emergency nebulizer. But that's just temporary. Let's get that medication for him right away. Daniels walked with her back to the counter where the pharmacist waited. Please process Mrs. Washington's prescription immediately, he said to the pharmacist. The pharmacist nodded and quickly prepared the inhaler. Denise paid with her credit card, her hands still shaking slightly. With the medication secured, Chief Daniels turned to the officers. Officer Ramirez, you're dismissed. Return to your patrol. Officer Bennett, wait for me in your car. I'll be out to speak with you shortly. Officer Ramirez left quickly, looking relieved. Bennett's face hardened, but he followed orders and exited the pharmacy. Mrs. Washington, Daniels said, turning back to Denise. I understand you need to get home. To your son's. I'd be happy to drive you there. Your car can stay here for now and we can arrange to have it brought to your home later. Denise hesitated. I should be able to drive myself. I insist, Daniels said gently. You've been through a lot this morning, and I'd like to speak with your son Marcus as well. Plus, I think you could use the brake. After a moment, Denise nodded. Thank you, that would be helpful. As they walked toward the exit, the pharmacist called out, Mrs. Washington, I'm so sorry about all of this. Next time, we'll make sure everything goes smoothly. Denise managed a small smile. Thank you. Outside, Officer Bennett sat in his patrol car, watching as Chief Daniels escorted Denise to his unmarked vehicle. The morning sun was higher now, warming the spring air. Denise took a deep breath of it, feeling some of the tension leave her body. I'll deal with Officer Bennett after I get you home, Daniels said as he opened the passenger door for her. Right now, your sons are the priority. As they drove away from the pharmacy, Denise looked at the inhaler in her hand. What should have been a simple errand had turned into something much bigger. She didn't know what would happen next, but for the first time that morning, she felt like someone was on her side. The drive to the Washington home was quiet at first. Denise sat with her hands folded in her lap, the inhaler for Jaden held tightly between them. Chief Daniels kept his eyes on the road, giving her space to gather her thoughts. Turn left at the next light, Denise said, breaking the silence. Oak Street is 2 blocks down. Chief Daniels nodded and made the turn. Your son Marcus sounds like a remarkable young man, he said. Not many teenagers would know what to do in a situation like this. A small smile touched Denise's lips. He's always been that way, responsible beyond his years. Her smile faded. Sometimes I worry he's had to grow up too fast. Because you're raising them alone? Yes. Their father left when Jaden was 3. Marcus was 8. He's been my little helper ever since. Denise looked out the window at the passing houses. It hasn't been easy, but we've managed. Chief Daniels turned onto Oak Street. Which house is yours? The blue one, 3 doors down on the right, with the maple tree in the front yard. As they pulled into the driveway, the front door of the house flew open. Marcus stood there, relief washing over his face when he saw his mother. Jaden appeared behind him, the nebulizer mask still hanging around his neck. Denise was out of the car before Chief Daniels had fully stopped, rushing to embrace her sons. "I'm here now. Everything's okay," she said, hugging them both tightly. She held up the inhaler. "I got your medicine, Jaden." Chief Daniels watched from a respectful distance as the family reunited. After a moment, he approached. Marcus noticed him first, his eyes widening in recognition. "You really came," he said, sounding surprised despite having made the call himself. "Of course," Daniels replied. "You did the right thing calling me, Marcus." Denise guided her sons back inside, motioning for Chief Daniels to follow. The living room was modest but neat, with a worn but comfortable-looking couch and family photos lining the walls. Jaden sat down, still breathing with some difficulty. "Let me get this ready for you," Denise said, quickly opening the inhaler. "Package." With practiced hands, she prepared the medication and helped Jaden take his first dose. The effect was almost immediate. The boy's breathing began to ease, the tight lines around his mouth relaxing. "Better?" she asked, brushing his hair from his forehead. Jaden nodded. "Much better. Thanks, Mom." Marcus had been watching Chief Daniels warily. "What happened at the pharmacy? Is Mom in trouble?" "No, your mother isn't in trouble," Daniels assured him. "She didn't do anything wrong." "Then why did that officer stop her?" Marcus pressed, his young face serious. Chief Daniels considered his answer carefully. He looked at Denise, who nodded slightly, giving permission for him to speak openly with her sons. "What happened today shouldn't have happened," Daniels began, sitting down in an armchair across from the family. "Officer Bennett made assumptions based on things he shouldn't have considered." "Because Mom is black?" Marcus asked bluntly. The directness of the question hung in the air. Jaden looked up from his inhaler, eyes moving between his brother and the police chief. "Yes," Daniels answered honestly. "I believe that was a factor in how she was treated." Denise put her arm around Marcus's shoulders. "It's not the first time something like this has happened, but it's never been this bad before. And it shouldn't have happened at all," Daniels said firmly. "Part of my job as police chief is to make sure officers treat everyone with respect and fairness." "But they don't," Marcus said. "Everyone knows that." Daniels nodded slowly. "You're right. There's a long history of problems and they won't be fixed overnight, but that doesn't mean we stop trying." He leaned forward. "Your call today is going to help make changes, Marcus. Real ones." "What's going to happen to Officer Bennett?" Denise asked. "He'll be placed on administrative leave while we investigate the incident," Daniels replied. "There will be a formal review of his conduct and appropriate action will be taken. So he'll get a slap on the wrist and be back on the streets next week," Marcus said, skepticism heavy in his voice. Daniels didn't immediately contradict him. Instead, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a business card, handing it to Denise. "This has my direct number. I want you to call me in 1 week. By then, I'll have concrete information about the actions being taken. And if you're not satisfied with those actions, we'll talk about what else can be done." Denise took the card, surprise evident on her face. "Thank you." Jaden, who had been quiet, suddenly spoke up. "Are all police officers like that man at the pharmacy?" Daniels turned to the younger boy. "No, they're not. Most officers join the force because they want to help people and make their communities safer. But some forget that along the way, or they bring their own problems and prejudices to the job. Like racism," Jaden said simply. "Yes," Daniels agreed. "Like racism," Denise hugged Jaden closer. "This isn't the conversation I wanted to have with you yet," she said softly. "I already know about it, Mom," Jaden replied. "Kids talk at school, and Marcus told me some stuff too." Marcus looked down. He needed to know, Mom. After what happened to Darius's dad last year. Daniels remembered the incident they were referring. to a black father had been wrongfully arrested while picking up his son from a birthday party. The charges had been dropped, but not before the man spent a night in jail and his mugshot appeared in the local paper. "Your boys are smart," Daniel said to Denise. "They understand more than we sometimes give kids credit for." Denise nodded, her eyes moist. "They have to be. That's the hard part." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Chief Daniels stood up. "I should get back to the pharmacy. Officer Bennett is waiting, and I have some things to say to him." He looked at Denise. "Will you be all right? I can have someone bring your car here later today." "That would be helpful," Denise said. "I don't think I'm up to going back there today." "Consider it done." Daniels turned to Marcus. "Thank you for making that call. It took courage." Marcus shrugged, but Daniels could see he was pleased by the compliment. "I just wanted to help Mom." "Well, you did that and more." Daniels moved toward the door. "Mrs. Washington, I'd like to follow up with you in a few days, if that's all right." "Yes, of course." Denise stood and walked him to the door. When they were out of earshot of the boys, she added, "I'm not sure what to say. Thank you doesn't seem enough." "You don't need to thank me for doing my job the way it should be done," Daniels replied. "But I do want to ask you something." "What's that?" "We're forming a community oversight committee for the police department, people from different neighborhoods and backgrounds who can help guide our policies and practices. Would you consider joining?" Denise looked surprised. "Me? I don't know anything about police work." "That's exactly why we need you. You know what it's like to be on the receiving end of bad policing. Your perspective would be valuable." "I'm busy with work and the boys. The committee would meet once a month and we can schedule around your shifts." Daniels smiled slightly. "Think about it. You don't have to decide now." Denise nodded. "I will think about it." As Chief Daniels walked back to his car, he felt eyes on him. Looking up, he saw Marcus watching from the window, his young face serious and evaluating. Daniels gave him a nod of respect, which Marcus returned after a moment. Driving away, Daniels thought about the conversation he was about to have with Officer Bennett. It wouldn't be easy, but it was necessary. What had happened today was unacceptable and there needed to be consequences. Back at the pharmacy parking lot, Officer Bennett's patrol car was still waiting. Daniels parked beside it and took a deep breath. This confrontation was only the beginning. Real change would require more than disciplining one officer. It would mean changing the culture of the entire department. But today had shown him that the community was ready for that change, even if some of his officers weren't. As he got out of his car, Daniels thought of Marcus Washington's brave phone call. If a 17-year-old boy could stand up for what was right, then he as police chief could certainly do the same. Officer Bennett rolled down his window as Daniels approached. His face was set in a defensive scowl, already preparing arguments to justify his actions. "Step out of the car, officer." "Bennett," Daniels said firmly. "We need to talk about what happened today and what happens next." 6 weeks had passed since the incident at Hillside Pharmacy. The early summer heat filled the Washington home as Denise sat at her kitchen table, reviewing her notes for the speech she would give that evening. Her hands trembled slightly as she read over the words she had written and rewritten many times. "Mom, are you nervous?" Marcus asked, setting a glass of iced tea beside her. Denise smiled at her son. "Is it that obvious?" "A little." Marcus sat down across from her. "But you'll do great. You always know what to say." "This is different. Speaking at the town hall meeting means a lot of people will be watching and listening." "That's good," Marcus said. "They need to hear your story." From the living room, Jaden called out, "Mom, Chief Daniels is on the news again." Denise and Marcus moved to the living room, where Jaden had turned up the volume on the television. Chief Daniels stood at a podium, addressing reporters about the new policies being implemented at the Lakeside Police Department. "These changes are long overdue," Daniels was saying. "Every officer will complete the expanded training program on bias recognition and community engagement. And the Civilian Oversight Committee has already provided valuable input on our updated procedures for stops and searches. A reporter asked, "Chief Daniels, what about Officer Bennett? Will he be returning to active duty?" "Officer Bennett has been reassigned to administrative duties," Daniels replied firmly. "He will not be returning to patrol. Beyond that, I cannot comment on personnel matters. Some officers feel you've been too harsh. How do you respond to that criticism?" Daniels didn't hesitate. "My job is not to be popular with every officer. My job is to ensure this department serves and protects all members of our community with fairness and respect." As the news segment ended, Jaden looked up at his mother. "You helped make that happen, Mom." "We all did," Denise said, squeezing his shoulder. "Especially your brother with his brave phone call." Marcus shrugged, but his eyes showed pride. In the week since the pharmacy incident, he had become something of a local hero among his peers. The school newspaper had even interviewed him about what had happened. The doorbell rang. Denise checked her watch. "That must be Aunt Kelly. She's early." Kelly Rivera, Denise's closest friend and co-worker from the hospital, stood on the porch with a garment bag. "I brought you options," she announced, holding up the bag. "You can't give the most important speech of your life without the perfect outfit." Inside, Kelly hugged each of the boys before turning her attention to Denise. "Let me see what you've picked out so far." As the women disappeared into Denise's bedroom, Marcus and Jaden exchanged amused glances. Their mother rarely fussed about clothes, but tonight was special. 20 minutes later, Denise emerged wearing a simple but elegant blue dress that made her look both professional and approachable. "You look beautiful, Mom," Jaden said. "And important," Marcus added. "Like someone people will listen to." Denise checked her watch again. "We should get going. I need to be there early to meet with the mayor and Chief Daniels before the meeting starts." The town hall was already filling with people when they arrived. Denise guided her sons to seats in the front row, then made her way to a small room behind the stage where Mayor Linda Garcia and Chief Daniels waited. "Mrs. Washington," the mayor greeted her warmly. "Thank you for agreeing to speak tonight. Your story has really resonated with the community." "I just hope it helps make a difference," Denise replied. Chief Daniels smiled. "It already has. The pharmacy incident opened a lot of eyes. Even some officers who were resistant to change have started to see why these new policies are necessary." "Has there been much pushback?" Denise asked. "Some," Daniels admitted. "Change never comes easy. But having community members like you on the oversight committee gives us the perspective we need." The mayor checked her watch. "It's time. Are you ready, Mrs. Washington?" Denise took a deep breath. "As ready as I'll ever be." The town hall meeting began with the mayor welcoming everyone and explaining the purpose of the gathering to introduce the new police policies and the Civilian Oversight Committee. Chief Daniels spoke next, outlining the specific changes being implemented and acknowledging that they were long overdue. Then it was Denise's turn. As she walked to the podium, she caught sight of Marcus and Jaden in the front row, both giving her encouraging smiles. She placed her notes on the podium, took another deep breath, and began to speak. "6 weeks ago, I stopped at Hillside Pharmacy after my night shift at Riverside Hospital. I was tired. I was still in my scrubs. All I wanted was to get my son's asthma medication and go home." Denise's clear voice carried throughout the room. "Instead, I was treated like a criminal." She described what had happened that morning. The questioning, the humiliation, the fear. The room was completely silent as she spoke. "But my story doesn't end there," she continued. "My 17-year-old son, Marcus, made a phone call that day. He reached out to Chief Daniels, who had spoken at his school about accountability and community relations. And to my surprise, Chief Daniels answered that call. He came to the pharmacy, he listened, and most importantly, he took action." Denise looked directly at Chief Daniels. "That response showed me that change is possible. It showed my sons that speaking up matters. And it's why I agreed to serve on the Civilian Oversight Committee." She turned back to the audience. "I'm not Here to tell you that everything is fixed now. One incident, one responsive police chief, one new committee. These things alone won't solve problems that have existed for generations, but they're a start. As Denise concluded her speech, the audience rose in a standing ovation. She saw her sons clapping proudly, Kelly wiping away tears, and many community members nodding in agreement with her words. After the meeting, people lined up to speak with Denise. Some shared their own stories of interactions with police. Others simply wanted to thank her for speaking up. A local reporter asked for an interview, which she politely declined, feeling that she had said all she needed to say for now. As the crowd thinned, Officer Ramirez approached her cautiously. He was in uniform but looked different somehow, less rigid, more human. "Mrs. Washington," he said, "I wanted to apologize for my part in what happened that day. I should have spoken up sooner." Denise studied his face, seeing genuine regret there. "Thank you for saying that, Officer Ramirez. What matters now is what you do going forward." He nodded. "I've signed up for the additional training programs, and I've been talking with other officers about what happened. Some listen, some don't, but I'm trying." On the drive home, Jaden fell asleep in the back seat. Marcus sat quietly beside his mother, processing the events of the evening. "Mom," he said finally, "do you think things will really change?" Denise considered the question carefully. "I think they're already changing bit by bit, not as fast as we'd like and not without setbacks, but yes, I believe things can change if enough people commit to making it happen. Like you and Chief Daniels. And you, Marcus," Denise reminded him. "Your call started all of this." Marcus looked out the window at the passing streetlights. "I was scared that day. Scared for you and for Jaden. But I'm glad I made that call." "So am I," Denise said softly. When they reached home, Denise gently woke Jaden and guided her sleepy son inside. After getting him settled in bed, she found Marcus sitting on the front porch looking up at the stars. She sat beside him, both of them quiet for a while. The neighborhood was peaceful, with only the distant sound of crickets and the occasional passing car. "What are you thinking about?" she finally asked. "The future," Marcus replied. "I've been thinking about what I want to do after high school. And I think maybe I want to study law, or maybe criminal justice." He turned to look at her. "I want to help make the changes we talked about tonight." Denise put her arm around her son's shoulders, feeling a mixture of pride and hope, not just for Marcus, but for the community they were helping to build. The incident at the pharmacy had been painful, but from that pain had come purpose. And that, she thought, was worth everything.